So if you want to know how the pros navigate a minor blues in a Stevie Ray Vaughan style, hang out to find out. So first, let's hear me playing my interpretation of Tin Pan Alley, which is a B minor blues, and we're going to use that as a basis for coming up with our 5 pro tips. Tip number 1 is how Stevie Ray Vaughan navigates across the changes. So this minor blues, you can see it on the screen now, is B minor for 4 bars. Okay, then we go to E minor for 2 bars. Then we're back to B minor. Then we go to F sharp minor, E minor, B minor, and then F sharp 7. Right, which is important because that creates more pull back to the 1 chord. I don't know, Big Jim, why couldn't the lead guitarist get into his house? Because he had the wrong key. Very clever, Big Jim. Now, the way Stevie is thinking about this when he's playing over this is Stevie Ray Vaughan was very much about position 1. He just loved position 1 to death, right? And he's using position 1 to follow the chord. So this is pro tip number 1. Stevie Ray Vaughan over the 1 chord is here, right? Now when it goes to the E minor chord, Stevie Ray Vaughan doesn't kind of stay here all the time. What he does is he goes here. So he's playing E minor position 1. Like this, right? Then it goes back to the B minor and he's back to us. Now it comes to the F sharp minor, E minor, B minor. So he's following the chords, just very simply using minor pentatonic position 1. Now Stevie Ray Vaughan's playing, although it was phenomenal and his phrasing was phenomenal, sometimes it's very simplistic in what he's doing. It's the way he's putting it together that's impressive, right? What he's doing, just following the chords, he's just shifting position 1 about, right? He's not really using the other positions too much. I did a bit at the start. I shifted through the positions, but Stevie Ray Vaughan often would just stay in position 1, maybe sneak into position 2 a little bit, but he was such a master at position 1. And that goes to show you it's more important to know position 1 really well than know all 5 positions kind of averagely, right? So pro tip number 1 is just follow the chords using position number 1, right? Don't forget to check out the Patreon channel. The link is below. Lots of great stuff on jazz blues there at the moment. Doing a big study on jazz blues. Really worth checking out. And the awesome cross system is on there as well. Pro tip number 2. Now we're thinking about the flat 5. Stevie Ray Vaughan was massive on the flat 5, right? He's playing the flat 5 a ton, and this gives it a really good, cool, bluesy quality. Now across the 1 chord, he's using it in a very typical way here. And then he's using it here. There's tons of lines of Stevie Ray Vaughan that I've transcribed where you can see him going, right, you'll start here with this flat 5 here, and then He'll walk down, he'll almost do it that way every time. There's other ways you can use the flat 5, but he tends to do it in that way a lot. Now when he goes to the 4 chord, the way he uses the flat 5 is this. And this is just very cool. He's using it in a kind of like double stoppy sort of way. He's actually playing all 3 notes rather than just 2, all 3 strings. We might go. Yeah, so that's creating, double stops are very cool. So he's just thinking of position 1 here. And this is what I did in the solo. So when I came to the 4 chord, I went. Then you could go. So he's following that flat 5. He's doing it over the 1 chord and the 4 chord quite a lot, not so much over the 5 chord. So he's got those 2 ways of using the flat 5, right? Which obviously it's very cool, but there's lots of other ways. I quite like doing it here. I'm kind of at position 3. Right, I'm in position 3 of B minor pentatonic. I'm just, but that's not really a Stevie Ray Vaughan thing. But it's got quite a nice little chromatic quality to it. Yeah, so I might have put that in, I can't remember. So that is pro tip number 2, is using that flat 5, that blues note in that really cool way, right? So let's go to pro tip number 3. Stevie Ray Vaughan is using a lot of volume dynamics. He's very, very good at this, right? Where you'll hear his playing going up and down all the time. Timpanelli is a good example of this. I use it a lot with students because it's just an interest. It's got so many cool little things going on in it. So when he's doing, say, this bit, you'll subtly kind of drop it down and bring it up and drop it down and bring it up. So try doing. Today I'm really exaggerating. I'm going in hard. Bit softer. Then really soft. Kind of soft on the double stoppy bits as well. Yeah? And just think about it going up and down and up and down and up and down. And kind of do it, to start off with, just do it in a kind of random way. Just go louder, louder and quieter and see how it sounds, right? And this will add another really interesting layer to your playing. And this is part of the reason why a lot of people like Stevie Ray Vaughan, because his dynamics are so good. His dynamics and his phrasing are just absolutely out of this world. They really are, yeah? And you need to listen to it and study it and do this sort of thing. A lot of people do not think about volume dynamics at all in their playing. I bet some of you are listening to this going, is that a thing? Right? But it is. It's a big thing. It's really, really important. Yeah? Volume dynamics are crucial to make your playing sound interesting. Otherwise, it kind of sounds like this. Yeah? You've got to make it be go up and down and up and down. Really important. Okay, next one. Circular picking. He's doing something called circular picking at times in Timpanelli. Circular picking is this sort of stuff. So it's kind of, it's going around in a loop. That's where the circular thing's coming from. I mean, he's doing stuff like this. It's based around that lick there, and then you add in. So you can either go up here or just go to the flat 5 and then the flat 7. You know, that sort of stuff. And he just kind of mixes it all up. So that circular lick thing is a very cool thing to do and very, very Stevie Ray Vaughan. You can just kind of loop it round. There was kind of 3 ideas there that I'll just circle that round. Now you can hear that in his playing, not only in Timpanelli, but in lots of different tracks that Stevie Ray Vaughan plays, because it's all these little Stevie Ray Vaughan isms that he's got. Yeah. And pro tip number 5 is adding in different notes that aren't in the pentatonic scale. Stevie Ray Vaughan doesn't do this an awful lot. Across Timpanelli, he does do it a bit, but there's kind of, I added in extra notes, which made me, to be honest, sound a little bit less like Stevie Ray Vaughan. are more like, maybe more like me, or maybe more like a kind of a slightly jazzy thing. And there's two great notes that you can add to the minor pentatonic in a minor blues that will sound really cool, right? That will give it a little bit of an edge. So instead of going and using the blues scale with a flat 5, I'm going to add in things like this note here. So this note is the 2 or the 9. Now it adds a different flavour. It kind of sounds a little bit less bluesy and a bit more sophisticated, dare I say it. It's got a nice quality, and it's also here. So I'll search there and there. Could put it there as well. But you'll see it sounds slightly less bluesy, but that, you know, sometimes that extra flavour is really nice to put in. Now the other thing I put in, and I definitely put this note in, so I remember doing it thinking, oh, I quite like that, is the 6. That definitely has got a jazzy flavour in this context. Yeah, so I might go. So all I'm doing is I'm thinking of the minor pentatonic here, and I'm adding in this note, that's 2, so 6, 2, 6, 2. So I'm thinking of it very much in a minor pentatonic context. Now, if you take the minor pentatonic and you add in the 2 and the 6, the astute amongst you will have noticed you get Dorian, right? So basically I'm playing Dorian. So basically across this B minor, instead of B minor pentatonic, we've got, yeah, we've got this Dorian sound. And that's definitely moved it away from sounding bluesy to sounding more jazzy. So pro tip number 5 is basically if you add in extra notes, you're going to create different flavors, which is going to make your playing sound, in this case, jazzy. It will move a little bit from bluesy to jazzy, and you can interweave between these things, right? It's a very cool thing to be able to do, and you will sound more sophisticated, right? Because people are going, well, that's interesting flavour. So that's pro tip number 5. So there's loads of different ideas there for you to make your minor blues really stand out and sound fantastic. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Patreon channel. Catch you next time.